have at least a PSA. That was interesting. Maybe you've seen it. I was perusing mods for different games that I play, which, let's be honest, is Dragon Age. But then I was also looking at the Mass Effect Legendary Edition mods. I say someone, it's actually like the Mass Effect modding community. I guess that's like a organization or something.
Sure, it's like the UN.
Yeah, basically. And they have put together a revamped version of Pinnacle Station for Melee.
Oh, that's incredible. I did not know that. That's phenomenal. Good job, Mass Effect modding community.
And apparently, like, a lot of the, whatever changes were on, the gameplay. It also works with this Pinnacle Station DLC that you could put in Melee, and, it works perfectly. I say perfectly. I think it was something like, right now they only have English language, even though it works in other languages. It'll come up in English. But, like,
sure,
if you play in English, that's... if you play on English and our PC, you can access all of the revamped Mass Effect stuff. So
that's really great. I mean, that's something that Bioware wanted to do. They expressed dismay that the original source code could not be recovered from. I can't remember the name of the studio. It was a third party that technically made that. What an incredible accomplishment from the modding community. Good on you.
Yeah, they actually maybe you like that'll be something you'd be interested on like the mod page. They were gave a short little description on how they were able to do it, but BioWare wasn't, which basically came down to like we have 10 years of developed modding software that helps us crack the game code, where BioWare doesn't have that. So if anyone's going to do it, it's actually going to be us.
Oh, how interesting, right? Having to work from the outside in.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of is his own different problem to solve. That's actually really true. I guess I wouldn't have thought of that, but that's very true now that you say it.
So yeah, I gotta go check it out now. It's on the Nexus. I have not tried it yet. I just thought that was really neat. So yeah, congrats to the mods team, and thank you for doing a service.
What an interesting thing. Yeah, congrats and props to them. Real quick, what was going on with Sailor Moon? I heard that there was some Sailor Moon scare for you.
Yeah, no, I was on Twitter today and like trending Sailor Moon. I'm like, Is that, am I being pranked? Who the fuck? No one talks about Sailor Moon. What the fuck's going on here? So I click it, and then it's just like, nothing's fucking happening. It's just one of those things on Twitter where like something's trending. You're like, oh, what's that about? And like nothing fucking, everyone woke up today and was like, today's a good day to talk about Sailor Moon. We're just going to do it. So that's what today was. I wish something had happened. I wish not like a movie. Like, if there's like a live action series done, like there was a Dragon Ball movie that came out like an eon ago, or like that Power Rangers movie that
that's the tweet I saw that I thought was funny, because you said you were afraid there was a live action version. I was like, oh, would you like to hear what it's like to be a Cowboy Bebop fan then?
Okay, I have not looked at anything about that live action.
Neither have I. Neither have I, because if I do, my blood pressure is going to raise too high. And I literally, if I glimpse a poster or something out of the side of my eye, I just go, I'm not looking at it. I refuse to fucking look at it.
I have just never heard of any anime turning into live action that was good. Sorry. At least when the adaptation was done by Americans. I've heard some like Japanese ones being okay, but not like American Death Note, American Dragon Ball, American whatever. It's all hot garbage.
I mean, it's basically never good. I mean, foreign films that get American remakes aren't good. Like, it's not even just a matter of the medium. It's just like, I don't know what it is about when an American studio tries to convert something over. Like, it's like they suck all of the, I don't know what they're trying to distill it. It's always this attempt, and nobody ever says, why do we keep thinking that this is a good approach? But it's always like, well, let's take the core pieces of it and just do that. It's like, no, don't stop trying to do that. It never works.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing I don't get about like American remaking foreign films, it's like you could just watch the foreign film. Like, Americans aren't idiots. We can just put on or a dub.
Put subtitles on, yeah.
Dub or subtitles. Like, I don't need to rewatch with American people. This is kind of...
It's a really old idea. Like, I refuse to watch the Old Boy remake that I believe, was it Spike Lee who did it or whoever? I'm not watching that. I mean, Old Boy is one of my favorite films ever by Chan-wook Park, Korean film. And it's like, I'm not watching the remake. I'm just not watching it. I don't care who's in it. I don't care who did it. I'm not watching it.
We should be talking about the subject by now, but I have a college Old Boy story that I just have to tell now. So
please, yeah.
I lived in a dorm for a while, and one of my friends was like, "We got to watch Old Boy. It's a great movie." I don't remember which one it was. So to do so, he decided the best place to do this was like the dorm TV area, which was like public. And like the way the room was designed is that there was a TV that faced outward to like a stairwell or whatever. So anyone on the stairwell could see what you're watching in the TV through windows. And we're on the couch. And we're watching this movie. And I guess there's this one scene where this woman is in so much pain that like these guys are jacking off to her sound or something like that. Maybe I'm thinking of another movie, but like I always thought it was Old Boy. But it was just so weird that suddenly we hear like as an RA had just come in at the time just to see this weird scene. It was like, what the fuck are you guys watching? You can't watch this in here.
There are so many weird scenes in Old Boy that are like, it's a real dubious proposition to watch it with people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we didn't actually get to finish it because none of us had TVs at that point. So we're like, well, how do we watch it? Because we can't watch it in here. Fuck. And it's been like 10 years later, and I still haven't seen Old Boy. But so all I've seen is that first 10 minutes or whatever, and those guys jacking off to this girl in pain. And
it's
it's a movie. I'll say that.
It's a trippy film. It's a fucking really trippy film, and it's a shame you didn't get to see the ending because the ending's like this ultimate mindfuck. But yeah, that's just to me another example of why don't we just, like you said, why don't we just watch it the way that it is? Why do we have to remake things? Just watch it how it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know what? There's no way to transition from Old Boy to Dragon Age 2.
No. Speaking of people jacking off to weird things, let's talk about Dragon Age 2.
Okay.
There's like one person that feels really called out right now.
By one person, do you mean the entire Bioware community?
Oh God. Okay, so we're back on our. I think it's actually been a while since an episode because both of our schedules just got fucked for various reasons, and I was getting over a cold. So, yeah, we're just kind of getting a softball today and talking about Dragon Age 2. Now we've technically done this before. We went into like a retrospective review on the game. So I think we're gonna give it a score, but not talk about it in too much depth because we've already done that. This is also a very, very early episode we did, so, you know.
We're rehashing a bit, but we also have never done it technically in this format, and if we want to go through all the games and compare the scores for this format, we kind of have to again, so.
Yeah, so this is what we're doing. All right, so I guess just right off the bat, the Dragon Age 2 story. I think it's a solid story structure because you're really just following Hawke. Hawke is like the shepherd character. Like they have a very distinct character behind them, and even though there's like you have different choices, like you know they're pretty each solidly unique. Overall though, like it is kind of wacky in a sense. Like okay, so you start off like pretty somber, and then when you get to the end, you're fighting Meredith, who's controlling like these ironwood
right.
golems, and she's absolutely off her rocker. Don't get me wrong, I love that scene, but like it just like went places, and I think in the end it does kind of feel a bit unfinished because I feel like there was supposed to be more, and there was supposed to be a DLC that turned into, well, it got canned and sort of turned into Inquisition. So like I liked it, and I think it is probably the best part of the game, but like I still would probably rate it like I might go a 5. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go 5.
I think 5 is perfect. I think I keep thinking of this based along a curve, And the way that I think of it is, I don't think you can rank the story better than Inquisition, and I don't think you can rank it better than Origins. Without giving away what my score will be for Inquisition, it's not going to be the same as what it was for Origins. So
okay,
there's got to be a tiering there, and so DA2 lands at a 5 for me also.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, it is good. I like the fact. I really wish that they would have been able to maybe do more with or explore it again in the future. The idea of so much time passing, right? Like this period of 10 years.
Yes.
This one character, this one family, you get to see a real progression, a real rise to power, as was part of the marketing campaign. I was very intrigued by that concept. I sort of still am. I like that we got to explore it as much as we did in DA2, but I'd like to see it done again, quite honestly.
Yeah, there's a lot of Dragon Age 2 that I think is really interesting, but also completely up to your imagination. Like, how is Hawk growing in these couple years? They kind of don't in the game that much, but like through like your interpretation of the character, whatever they do. The passage of time, like Kirkwall doesn't really, like the look of Kirkwall, the maps do not change throughout the years, but like you would kind of think they do, like that type of stuff. So there's a lot of potential there that I think is kind of missed and sad, like if for some reason BioWare was given more time and whatever, like there's a lot of cool stuff that could have happened that isn't there. And I do wonder if like, I don't know, you pick up on that and like you either wish it was there and get kind of frustrated at the game, or you imagine it's there and you really like the game. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that the factor of time, I mean, obviously we all know the kind of story behind Dragon Age 2 at this point, which is that they just had to get it out for a particular release window based on what the publisher wanted, and so I have to imagine that 18-month turnaround time for Dragon Age 2, which is absolutely insane when you think about how long games take to develop now. Dragon Age 4, hello? That's crazy. I'm sure they would have loved to have done more differentiation in the time periods for the city. They just didn't have time.
Of course, yeah. All right, the characters. Do you want to take us away on the characters?
What an interesting cast. Like, and I don't even just say that lightly. Like, it is sort of an interesting cast. I feel like certain members of them are not forgotten exactly, but other than Varric, I don't know if anyone in this cast sort of became a mainstay figure of the franchise, even if there are people who absolutely love them. Like, Aveline is beloved, don't get me wrong, but like, where's the Aveline content like elsewhere, if that makes sense? I mean, I guess there is some stuff in the
like Fenris and Isabella, they have their own comics.
Yeah, okay. So I was right about to go into like, comics, books, etc. There is more of it, but like, if we don't see more of these characters, let's say in Dragon Age 4, what then is their fate in games or in future games, if there will be any beyond 4? I don't know. Despite that, I like the cast overall. I think Varric becoming as much of a symbol icon in the franchise as he is, that alone sort of makes the cast noteworthy. But as far as how I would rank them, this could be a theme developing. I am going to go with a 4.
Okay.
4 is not bad, remember? 4 is like, that's totally good, actually, but I don't know if I can rank it higher than that, when really the takeaways for me are Varric, Aveline, and, I mean, I like all of them. I'm not really, I don't want to like bash any of them too hard, but I just don't know if any of them really stand out as far as the whole franchise is concerned, except for maybe 1 or 2.
So I think like a weird thing about fandoms is like you have to think of the meta of, is this character really popular, or are the people that like this character just feel abused by the fandom, therefore they feel that they must talk about it all the time? I feel like that's Dragon Age 2 people. No offense. But because like all the time on Twitter, I'll see people talking about how they're really upset about other people in the fandoms or the dude bro boy, or like origin boys. That's becoming a thing I've seen now, where like guys I don't even.
A thing. That's not it. Is it really?
Apparently, yeah. I've seen it. Where like anyone who's talking about specifically Dragon Age 2, they always somebody going, well, yeah, but Origins was better. Have you tried Origins? So I bet you really haven't played Dragon Origins. So I don't really tweet about Dragon Age Origins that much, so I can't, or Dragon Age 2 that much, so I can't like whatever. But I see that all the time, but I just see so many people talking about and defending Dragon Age 2, and like I just don't. I feel like Twitter is a bunch of people talking about how they feel they're being like they feel like they see a bunch of negative thing about X, and then all I see is positive stuff about X and people talking about how they see people talking bad about X, but I never actually see anyone talking bad about X, and that's me in Dragon Age 2. I feel like I don't see anyone talking shit about that game. Anyway, point of the matter is the characters. The people who are really in Dragon Age 2 are really into this game, especially the characters. Like I have seen more love for the Dragon Age 2 characters than like anybody, but this is about me. And I honestly love Aveline a lot. She's probably my favorite character in the Dragon Age series. So, but that being said, yeah, I think there should be something said about Varric, because him and Morgan and Alistair, if you name like the most famous, like at least to the even just the marketing, it's going to be those three for some reason. And like Varric almost makes, I guess, some sense because he is the narrator for Dragon Age 2. And I'm almost surprised he came back in Inquisition. And it looks like he's coming back in 4, maybe even as the narrator again. Who knows?
He should.
He's just become so iconic to the series that in a way, like his voice, if you will, is the storytelling of the Dragon Age, you know, and it's just kind of become that. And I think that should be something in the score of all the characters, at least that iconic voice, which is basically what you said. But I think I would rate it overall a 5, because I think the cast is super solid, where in Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition, they were kind of people and to this day I don't really kind of care about. Like, I don't really care about Oghren. I don't really care about Bull that much. You know, like, I don't really care, but like, I care or even hate looking at Meryl. I still care, just maybe not in the positive way, about the characters in Dragon Age 2, except for Sebastian, who I'm saving for the DLC portion. But they're all solid, and I all cared about them, and they do feel like your friends. And I think that's something that some of the other games don't have as well of. So I'll give it a 5.
Okay,
which is the same as what I give Origins.
Yeah, I mean, I can dig that. And they are a good cast of characters. Like, they are well written. I think pretty much all of them, except for Fenris, who sucks.
I think Meryl's storyline doesn't make sense sometimes too. Like, if you like really sit there and try to figure out the details, Marithari is either just the stupidest woman alive, or it just doesn't make sense. Yeah, and I can never decide which one's it.
I don't really think that Fenris sucks, but here's a bad habit I have. Is just occasionally I like to poke people. I don't know why I'm like that. Me and my friends are like that. We like to poke each other whenever we know something is a pet peeve. I feel like it's a guy
thing, because my husband's like that. All of my guy friends are like that.
It is. I don't know why we're like that. We're just we know that someone has a pet peeve, and we just bring it up constantly. So as you're telling me about, first of all, your description of Twitter is 100% accurate. I think you could expand that formula out. You could swap in whatever you want for X. I'm not even going to go there, but it's everything. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if those people, like, here's my thought on it. People don't really bitch and complain that much unless they like it, right? Like, unless they're just like masochists. Like, you don't bitch and complain that much unless you like bitching and complaining. So, do you think those people would enjoy it if someone, I don't know, maybe me, just trashes Dragon Age 2 a little bit? That way they actually have someone to be mad at. Caitie is making a horrified face right now.
No, I'm just trying to sit here and like think about this, because it's like,
they need a villain.
Yeah, you would be the villain, and Well, okay. Here's something though. I know there's going to be people listening to this who have probably said these things and tweeted this out or whatever. Like, I just can't imagine a world where I have the mental energy where someone talks shit about Aveline that I feel like I have to go to Twitter and defend Aveline. Like, you know what I do when someone talks shit about Aveline? I don't give a fuck. And like I guess they're like, it would get really annoying if like I post a pro Aveline thing or some fan art I did or whatever. Are you tweeting about hating Dragon Age 2? Because I hear a keyboard going and I'm just afraid.
This is what my tweet's gonna be. I'm just gonna put an experiment, and then in quotation marks, Dragon Age 2 sucks. And then I'm gonna put a poll and only two options. One option, fair enough. The other option, die. And we're gonna see.
Right. All right, this will be interesting. Okay,
it's gonna run for like 7 days, so probably maybe about 5 days, maybe around the time we post this. All right, an experiment. Dragon Age 2 sucks. Fair enough, or die, and we'll just see how people react.
Hold on.
Caitie, retweet.
You fucking.
We're
troll.
such trolls.
You fucking troll.
This should be great.
God. I voted fair enough because I feel like I at least have one.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh God. Well,
God.
we have 3 votes so far, and at least one person has put die, so this will be interesting.
If only I could have found a way to make that tweet in only 2 words, I would have gotten a way to get all of my troll instincts out.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's. What a day. I even forgot what we were talking about.
Dragon Age 2. Okay, so Dragon Age 2, a game that does not suck, that I love quite dearly, actually. Characters, I went 5. No, you went 5. I went 4. Yes. Let's talk about the gameplay on Dragon Age 2. What do you think of the gameplay of Dragon Age 2?
Okay. The gameplay, okay, as someone who looks at gameplay systems and my mind goes,
oh God, I'm clipping that. That's a clip. We're saving that sound effect.
Oh God, no, please don't.
When we get to the Anthem review, I'm just going to go, how's the Anthem storyline we play?
I mean, yeah, but except when we talk about Faye, then I'll be like, ooh, Faye. Anyway, no, but I don't know how to explain it better than this. Playing Dragon Age 2, I feel really airy, and things are just happening, and there's a bunch of flashing lights and colors, and I'm just hoping my points don't go down enough that the game stops.
Yeah.
It's very flashy in a way that can be fun, but things just go so fast sometimes. And like some of the animations are just over the top. Like if you play a blood mage, you're like, okay, you know, blood mage, I need some blood, and maybe I'll like stab my hand dramatically. No, you take your staff and go through your chest.
Right. An absolutely mortal wound by any definition of the term. Yeah,
like you basically kill yourself. Like it looks like it, and it's just you're sitting there going like, what the fuck? What? Well, who? Why? Who thought that animation was appropriate? I just want to talk. So yeah, that makes no sense. But is that animation or is that gameplay? Is that more like design? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it fits into. I mean, it's an animation that is affecting your perception of the gameplay mechanic. I want to say that maybe I misread this, but I almost feel like that's the exact same animation that was used in. Oh, no, sorry. I was thinking of KOTOR 2, which was not made by Bioware, so probably not.
Okay.
There's a scene where a character impales herself, and it looks very similar. But no, I think you're right. That's a very weird thing about blood magic in Dragon Age 2.
So, yeah, that one's kind of weird, but like overall, the gameplay just kind of is, and like to this day, I've played this game so many times, and even like probably 4 or 5 playthroughs as a rogue, I still have no idea what the fuck is happening when there's that little circle counting down when you're attacking with a dagger. No idea what that is. Still don't know. It just kind of happens. No one's ever bothered to tell me. The game, I think, told me once, and I like, oh crap, that tooltip went kind of way fast. Oh, I guess I'll never know, and it never came back, and I still don't know what that is. So, like, it just kind of happens. It's just kind of there. I don't hate it. It's not unfun, I guess, but like, I don't really care. So I'm gonna give it A 2.
Oh wow! Dang, I was not expecting that.
Well, yeah, it's just kind of there. I don't really give a shit. I wish it would just kind of end. It's in like the enemies come out of nowhere, and I roll my eyes, and it's whatever. Granted, let me say the boss battle of Dragon Age 2, my favorite boss battle of the entire series, just because it's so fucking wacky. I love it. But like it just feels so uncontrolled compared to like the other games in the series that I just kind of. It's just.
Yeah. No, it's all right. So, what am I going to score Dragon Age 2 on gameplay? Your 2 shocks me completely. I think that's going to be the lowest score you give any Dragon Age game on anything. But that's a spoiler alert, so we'll find that out as we go. But I didn't think you would give any Dragon Age game a 2 on anything. But
you know what? Can I?
I'm sitting here about to do my score, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to give it. I think
I actually think I'm going to bump it up to a 3 because I feel like a 2 is indicating that it's bad. It's not bad. It just kind of I don't give a shit, which I think is more of a 3.
Okay. So a 3. And then what am I going to give this score here? Because I'm of the opinion that like, okay, the animations are flashy and or over the top. Although functionally, what are the ways that this is different than Dragon Age Origins? And I do think it is different than Dragon Age Origins, even if just the builds are slightly different. Certainly the way that the enemy mobs are constructed, the fact that you have the random enemies spawning in. I think that dungeon design goes into the category of gameplay, and it's obviously very repetitive in Dragon Age 2. The combat in general feels a little more tedious in Dragon Age 2. Like, the fights go on too long. The enemy types don't really seem as varied. And so, whereas the combat felt really engaging to me in Dragon Age Origins, even though the animations are boring looking, like the strategy element of it feels like there's always a puzzle to be solved in Dragon Age Origins, which is exactly what I want for my real time with pause games, like as far as combat is concerned. And I don't think Dragon Age 2 does that as well. But I mean, there are still tactical rules that can be defined. A lot of the same abilities carry over. The core gameplay is the same. I just don't think it's as good. I am going to go, I think really on the basis of the repetitiveness of it, it's got to be no higher than a 4. Yeah, so I'm going with a 4.
Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to execution and design then.
Okay, so execution and design, well, I kind of already talked about the level design and gameplay, but even just not as it pertains to combat. Like we talked a little bit about Kirkwall as a city, which I think it's a nice city concept. I think it works really well in a lot of ways, and that it gets you to the parts of the city that would be most pertinent. But again, it does kind of start to feel very samey. Like after a while, you are just kind of running from point to point, and the city doesn't feel as lively as the game goes on. I mean, maybe that's sort of unavoidable, as with a lot of video game environments, but I would say it sort of fits into that category of like, it's good. I don't know if I would necessarily sing its praises quite as much.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do think that like from a visual design standpoint, Dragon Age 2 kind of improves a little bit of the distinctiveness from Origins, at least. Maybe not as much as it could be, but it's not bad. And I think as well, the characters, the armor, the way the weapons look, all of that starts to look more distinct in Dragon Age 2, and I think that that's really important.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
I'm going 4 or 5 here. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I guess I'm going to go with a 5 on this, of all things. Yeah, I'm going to go with a 5.
Okay. I guess. I agree that. Okay, so Dragon Age Origins, things were ugly and brown. We gave it a 4. And with Dragon Age 2, they're like, okay, we're going to add some more color, and that color is red and no else. And that was basically it. Overall, though, I don't like hate it or anything. I think it's still like the actual world is good. I do kind of wish, like, the thing that bothers me, and I know this has to do with just being so rushed, if you will. there are a lot of like lore things that when you read about it just isn't true for the rest of the world. Like Kirkwall means like, black stone or whatever. That's like the literal name for it. And like even in the lore, in the codex entries from the game, it talks about how all the stone that you mine from Kirkwall is this pitch black, and that's why they call it Kirkwall. Meanwhile, you're looking around at all this brown stone going, what are they talking about? Black stone? What?
Right. Yeah.
That's not true at all. So, like, and all they really need to do is just, like, not have that piece of lore. Because I think, like, when there actually are mods to make the stone black, and it just looks even worse.
I think I tried one of those way back when, and I was like, oh, this looks just weird.
We had one for the Versace Hawk.
Did we?
We did, yeah. At least I thought I did. I'm like 90% sure we did.
Yeah, you're probably right. You probably did.
It was a little funky. It got too dark. But point is, like, they did better than Origins. But in what they did better than Origins, I think there were other problems. Like, I know they tried to do something different with the elves, but I hate how the elves look in Dragon Age 2. I hate it so much. I think they just look so strange and not in a good way. And it just is, they just look funky and just like incongruent with the world. And now, like, even within the series, because now Dragon Age Inquisition went back with them looking more like humans rather than like these weird alien creatures. So like, I guess I just don't like that. And it's just like, there's a lot of little weirdness to it. I don't know. And like the level design is something. So I guess I would still plop it at a 4. I think we didn't even talk about the voice actors. All the voice actors are solid. I don't hate anybody. They're all great. I like even their great performance. I don't think could save some of the design that I just am not a fan of. So 4. There we go. All right, DLC. The DLC for this is Sebastian, which he's the first and only DLC character for Dragon Age. And then you also have Mark of the Assassin, which is, I don't like it, but it's kind of Dragon Age trying to do a new system, and you do whatever. You go on a stealing mission. And then there is Legacy. And then like 100 different item packs. Okay, I don't think the item packs are worth it. And the fact that you can't buy a bundle still of this whole DLC, I think is quite frankly a crime against humanity. And that pisses me off quite a lot. Some of the armors look great, but like for the price it is, and they never go on sale. It is honestly ridiculous. Legacy, I think, is great. I have no whatever about it. Sebastian, I think, is actually an okay character. He just doesn't do shit in the game. And like there's a bunch of weird moments with him that just doesn't work, like the make or no thing. He needed more editing. He needed more time to cook in the oven for this to be like a good DLC to buy. And like there's kind of a reason why it's now in lore that he's the friend of the Kirkwall group that no one gave a shit about because people make fun of him because the DLC didn't work. It was kind of strange. And then of course Mark of the Assassin, I hate it. It's the worst DLC of the entire series. I'll say that out loud. The humor falls so flat for me. And like they do have some fun moments, and like some of the lines are so bad it turned into like being good again, like tell them I died at Chateau Hain. Like, so there are some like those cheesy corny movements, but they're like every time I think about Fenris saying Hawk stepped in the poopy, I think I just die a little inside. It's just not a good line. So I physically cringe at that DLC. So as a whole, and bundling it together, I really hate Mark of the Assassin, and I just hate the idea of the item packs for Dragon Age 2. Weirdly enough, don't care about the Inquisition ones. It's the Dragon Age 2 ones that bother me. So I'm going to give overall a 3. Whoa, that's a lot of 3s. I only put... Okay, but a 3. It could have been a lot better. If you only have money to buy one, it's Legacy hands down.
Yeah, Legacy feels like the only one that's like the real DLC.
Yeah. The others are just kind of there.
Yeah. Like that's the one that sort of counts. That's the one that actually contributes something meaningful to the lore and to the overall story of Dragon Age as a franchise. And really, it's, quite interesting in that it introduces Corypheus and sort of sets up the antagonist of Inquisition and all that. It's really quite good. Mm-hmm. We have forever enjoyed the fact that the voice actor, who is the same person, sounds very different in Legacy.
That still blows my mind. That okay, if you don't know, Corypheus in the DLC Legacy has like this like weird old school German voice that he does, and then you go into Inquisition, he's like this low menacing villain. That's the same fucking guy. The high squeaky German voice and the low menacing villain is the same actor. Which, good on him, but oh my god.
It's a phenomenal difference in the approach. For anyone who doesn't, maybe you never watch the live streams that we do silly live streams of Dragon Age, and there is an episode of a live stream called Life Alert. I think we named this stream Life Alert. Where Caitie and I just riff on the fact that this guy sounds like an old man, like a confused old man, and we compare him waking up from his slumber to an old person trying to use Life Alert. Anyway, we're very amused by the fact.
Well, and also, like, the voice change is such, like, a wonderful... Like, if you want to pretend it's, like, lore or whatever, where, like, that's Corypheus' real voice, and when he's trying to be the menacing god, he does this other thing. Yeah. It's so good. Yeah. And it fits with the character, and I love it so much.
It is incredible, because that, to me, Corypheus revealing himself in Inquisition is one of my all-time favorite Dragon Age moments, for sure. Like, all-time favorite Bioware moments. Like, that is, like, peak... cinematic, prowess and fidelity, and it's freaking awesome. But anyway, Dragon Age 2 DLC, I agree, Legacy's really the only one that counts. I will forever like Sebastian more than you do, I think, and I agree a lot of him is wasted potential. I continually go back to the fact that I really like the voice. I like what the voice actor does. It's Alec Newman, does a great job. The character design is good. The armor and the bow that he has look really cool. He should be the super cool character, and then he's not given a lot to do story-wise beyond his main, beyond the quest that you initially have with him. And from a gameplay standpoint, he's like, I don't know, kind of a glass cannon, but not even really like a glass. He's like a glass slingshot. It's like he's just underpowered and squishy. I don't understand. Mm-hmm. He looks so cool, but there's really no point in bringing him because he's not very effective in combat. Mm-hmm. And then if he does have like banter or things that are, it's like make or no, right? It's like this really tacked on after the fact sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I like Sebastian, I think maybe more than you do or more than most people do, but I have to concede he's not very good. And I pretty much feel the same way about Mark of the Assassin. I don't know what else to say other than it was 2011 and Felicia Day was cool then. And by the way, I feel like I have to keep saying this. Felicia Day seems like one of the nicest people alive. So I feel very badly that I don't like any of her Dragon Age things. She seems like a very nice person. But it just wasn't good in my opinion.
No.
She was very popular. It was 2011 and she had made an internet show about people who play an MMO, and it was very geeky. And at the time, the mainstream people were going, yes, very geeky is good. The kids like the very geeky. And so, I don't know, that was just sort of the era that we were in. Felicia Day could write her own ticket. Yeah,
in a weird way, Mark of the Assassin DLC is what it was like living in 2011 as someone who thought anything was like nerdy was kind of cool, like that type of humor was around. So maybe that's why I hated that it brings me back to that space, and I just don't want to be, there again.
Do you remember when pirates were considered nerdy for some reason?
Yeah,
fucking pirates.
And ninjas? Like the pirates and ninjas thing? And the mustaches? You remember the mustache thing? That was weird.
Yeah. I think, what the fuck were we thinking? I know this is a weird tangent, and I've said this before, but anyone who's never seen Valley Girl, the movie from the 1980s with Nicolas Cage, I just keep telling people to just go back and look at, that media depiction. I'm not saying that's what the 80s was, but look at that media depiction of the 80s and sort of what was considered cool in that era. That's how badly our precious nerd culture is going to age. It's not going to be good. In 20, 30 years, we're going to realize how fucking stupid all this shit was.
Oh, yeah, here's a question. In like 20 years' time, will we admit to doing this?
Look, it's not by any account my most popular tweet, but it's the tweet I'm most proud of, and it's the one I made very early in 2020 before the world exploded. That having a podcast in 2020 is like being in a band in 1995. Everybody kind of has it. There was a point when we were first starting to do it where like if we were like in mixed company, my girlfriend might share with someone that I did YouTube or had a podcast. And I was like, could we maybe just not tell people that? Because I think she was proud of me and she still is. But it's like people would look at her as though she was saying like, well, my boyfriend's in a band. And it's like, who fucking cares? Like, who fucking cares? They're in a band and they play for 25 people or whatever. Like, good for you, but nobody gives a shit. And, or whatever, the podcast is growing and that's great, but it's like, it really is like that to me. Everybody's a content creator now. Some of us are bigger than others. Like your content continues to grow, your channel continues to grow, and that's awesome, but it's still like, there are these scales where it's like, there's people who are doing it on the scale of millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions. And then there's like someone like me who has a few thousand subscribers. It ain't the same thing, right? So what is it? It's like this, I don't know. It's like a hobby that's just that people watch me do. I don't know.
Yep. Basically.
But no, I think we'll admit to it the same way that people go, I was in a band when I was younger, whatever, kind of a thing.
Your kids pull out your mixtapes and go, Dad, you did this, that's so cool. And they listen to it and go, oh, that's why you're still at the job you work.
Yeah, they go, who's Carly Rae Jepsen and why do you like her so much? And it's like the equivalent. Yeah, it's like the equivalent of me trying to like pull out like a Sheena Easton tape and be like, listen to this, kids.
This is real music. Okay, you have still not given a score for the DLC.
Oh shit! All right.
Yeah.
I'll give it I'm gonna give it a 3 with you because I think it's redeemable because of legacy, but kind of weak overall.
Okay. Well, because we already did Dragon Age 2, we also wanted to, so when we were doing the Dragon Age Origins review, we're like, we're not going to do the DLC, it's just the base game. And then we did Mass Effect 1 and decided we were going to do the DLC, so now we have to go back and do the Dragon Age Origins DLC. So we're going to talk about that right now. So, I guess as a refresher, the DLC, there's a couple of like free DLCs that are like the Feast Day Gives and Pranks. Like no one gives a shit about that. That just is like some items you give. Like they do some fun things. I will say there is one item. It's like the Prayer Book of the Dead of the Qun that you give to Sten. That's kind of OP because suddenly Sten becomes your healer and he can like recite it and it revives and like full healths your party. And like, oh, well, that's a lot. Okay.
It's pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like everything else in that DLC, like nobody cares, but suddenly that comes up and you're like, what? And I didn't even know that for a long time, by the way. It's kind of a well-kept secret. But anyway, other DLC is you have Warden's Keep, where you get your own keep, sort of. It's like they tell you have your own keep, but no one ever goes back to there. Like you have a storage chest, but no one really cares about it. Then there's the Stone Prisoner, which is Shale. Oh, wait, never mind. I said that Sebastian was the only DLC character, but I forgot about Shale. Whoops. Shale, I think, is the best DLC character then. She's wonderful.
I agree.
And then what other DLC you got in the main game? I think that's it, isn't there? That's all the DLC for?
Those are the ones that I remember, and
yeah,
it's quite good. It's a good lineup. You really think about it. Like, it's like a really good lineup.
Yeah, and then you got Awakening, and then the Golems of Amgarok, and then Witch Hunt. Overall, there is actually a lot of DLC content for Dragon Age Origins, and nowadays you can actually get it all bundled up into one game for like a good price. So I can't really speak to how it was like when the game came out and all the prices and stuff like that, but like now with how much content there is, like it's quite a deal. Definitely get the Dragon Age Ultimate Edition if you can, because it's a good amount of content there. But, like, that aside, like, there are some weak points. Like, Golems of Amgarok just kind of is there. Like, it's just a dungeon crawler. Like, no one really cares about the story. Warden's Keep is there. I guess it's kind of interesting, but no one really cares. But, like, Shale is great. Winch Hunt's pretty good. Awakening's kind of clunky, but, like, overall, I think I like it. So, like, I would give it a 5. Oops, that's a 4. But a 5 overall.
I think it's really good. I think that the lineup of it is really good. I concur with everything that you say about, like, Golems of Amgarok. The Darkspawn Chronicles is kind of like, well, that's weird. It's neat.
I forgot
it's kind
about that one.
Yeah, like, Darkspawn Chronicles is neat and everything, but it's like, well, this is just almost kind of like a what-if story, or, like, it's kind of impressive that they even did it, to be honest. You know, like, even smaller stuff like Return to Ostagar, I think, is actually kind of neat, interesting in a weird way. But I think, yeah, the standouts are obviously Shale is an incredible character. It feels weird to even think of Shale as DLC. She's sort of essential.
Yeah.
To the Dragon Age Origins experience. I think Witch Hunt is very, very good, even if mainly what I'm talking about is the end of it.
Yeah, I think everyone really likes Witch Hunt for the end of it, but, like, the rest of the DLC is just kind of there. Like, it's really that, like, end bit with Morrigan, and, like, that's all what anyone talks about.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is and it isn't. I mean, it's not anything special as far as gameplay is concerned. It's linear, it's sort of repetitive, but the fact that ending does stick with us, I give it major credit.
Yeah.
I like Awakenings a lot because it's an expansion pack. I mean, that's actually probably the most important thing I would say about the DLC for Dragon Age Origins is that it has an expansion pack. I miss expansions, you know? Like, Elder Scrolls series has had some, like Blood and Wine is probably the last major one that we can remember in a series where, like,
Trespasser was basically an expansion pack.
Oh, we might have to talk about that.
Okay.
When we get to Inquisition,
expanded the main game still.
We will talk about that. That is a subject we must remember because I think I disagree, but we'll talk about that on the Inquisition episode. No, but I love the fact that Awakenings is an expansion pack. So I actually really I think the Blood Dragon armor is cool. I actually rocked that as my main armor the first time I ever played Dragon Age Origins.
I will say we did forget about Liliana's song. I think
it's
that has
silly.
the exact. Well, I think it actually has the same problem as Mark of the Assassin. It just keeps its mouth shut for more of the time, so I don't care as much.
It's very. I remember the character introductions, like the splash screen of, like.
That's rough, buddy. Yeah, it didn't do well.
That was weird, but it was interesting to sort of pick the dialogue options and then hear Liliana say, you know what I mean? Like, I thought that was kind of an interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I still wish that there would be like a Garrus DLC like that, you know, for Mass Effect. Not in that style, but just, you know, where you could play.
Can you imagine if they're like, you know, some character come Garrus, blood splatter, or whatever Mass Effect version of that is.
Anyway, so I DLC for Dragon Age Origins I think is actually quite strong. I'm gonna go with a 6.
All right. Well, that's all we had on the menu today.
Yeah, it is. So that's about. I mean, we're at about an hour here, so I think we've got an episode.
Yay, we did it. I'm so proud of us because it's been quite a while since our. Oh, you know what? Before we wrap up, we should check back in on how your tweet is cooking.
Oh, yes, that's right. I meant to do that. Thank you so much for reminding me. People, I see notifications. I assume people are angry.
Yeah.
190 votes so far, 69.5% die, which is quite strong showing here. 30.5, fair enough. So it's looking like a sweep here. It's going to look like a lot of wishes of death upon me for this utterances. Some of the replies, I love the options for the poll. Thank you.
I love the Malice just says, fight me.
The very good, yeah. Spencer says, agreed, it's hot garbo, which I think is just someone adding on to the troll situation.
Fair. Favorite in the series.
Yeah, this is some good responses. I appreciate people engaging.
Oh, we got one. You got one quote to tweet. Have to admit, I've never finished the game.
You know, I've talked about this before. Dragon Age 2 is the only Bioware game I have ever stalled on. And what I mean by stall is like the first time I played Dragon Age 2, I didn't finish it. Like I just stopped playing it. That is the only time that has ever happened in any Bioware game I've ever played. And of course, I'm so glad that eventually I went back and finished it, like before Inquisition came out. But yeah, I think the pacing is a little weird in that the end of the second act is so good. And it's almost like, oh, okay. I mean, it would have been too short to end here, but we're still going. Like, what happens now kind of a thing. Pacing's a little off.
The only game I've ever stalled on for BioWare was Andromeda. That one I stalled on.
Makes sense. Yeah, that would make sense also.
I would also say that there's kind of a similarity between Andromeda and Dragon Age 2. Like, I guess a fun fact, because I remember this happening when I was playing. But there is more Dragon Age 2 references in Mass Effect Andromeda than to any other Dragon Age. Not Inquisition that had come out fairly recently, not even like hints to the next game, but Dragon Age 2 specifically. And I always thought that was kind of like maybe the devs going, hey, remember the other game that didn't do well, but the character's really good? Hey, doesn't that sound familiar?
I mean, they have something in common that they were both developed in 18 months.
That's true.
even though Andromeda was supposed to have a 5-year development cycle.
Rip. Yeah. Well, we'll talk about Andromeda. That's a whole other.
It's a whole other thing. All right, I think we got an episode here. Caitie, where can the folks find you?
You can find me at Ghildirthalen on youtube.com/ I don't know. I'm not going to. Anyway, then you can find me on Twitter at Ghildirthalen. And that's about it, which I retweeted it, but I tweet a lot, so maybe that's not the way to go. But if you want to weigh in on Fight Me or Die, hopefully this is out by the time you can actually still do it. You can go over to Jordan's Twitter, which is what, Jordan?
People can find me on YouTube at The Exalted March, and I'm on Twitter at The Exalted March. I don't really come in too often except to drop a bomb and leave.
Which is basically what you just did. I think every Sunday you're just going to drop some bombs. This makes it sound like you're literally shitting on Twitter, and I don't know, that might be accurate.
I think controversial polls every Sunday might be a fun tradition, at least for 2 weeks. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right now Tom Nook is trending on Twitter, and it's like Tom Nook and Sailor Moon. If we just get Dragon Age trending on Twitter, like all of my favorites are going to be trending today. This is a weird world. Tom
Nook live action adaptation.
Oh God.
Maybe who plays Tom Nook? Who do you think would make a good Tom Nook?
Oh, someone said, what's his name? God, the action man with the mustache. Hold on.
That's way different from what I was going.
Action man with mustache. Please, Google, don't fail me now. Just give me, who is this man? I can see him in my mind. I don't. It's some guy. Well, who would you have played?
I'd have gone like Aziz Ansari or something. I don't know. Kevin Hart, maybe.
There was some fan art where he was like this. Burt Reynolds. There it is.
That's way different. All right, Burt Reynolds is all right. I'll take it.
Burt Reynolds, Tom Nook. That's all we're doing today. We had like a weird side conversation after already saying goodbye. All right, Burt Reynolds, Tom Nook. That's your mental image of the day, Doris Sherrill.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.